The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNCNow.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community channel that sees all things new. My name is Jennifer Nuya, live streaming from Cavite, Philippines. And you're watching the Disruptor Hour on TNC. We're thrilled to have you here and can't wait to deep dive into the ever-evolving topics of leadership, innovation, disruption, change management, and transformation. Whether you're a seasoned leader, a change maker, or someone who is passionate about making a difference, I'm sure that you will find our show engaging, authentic, and most importantly, inspiring. Our show is designed to help you grow your leadership skills, navigate change with confidence, drive transformational innovation, and harness the power of disruption to create new opportunities for success. Our expert guests will share valuable insights, strategies, and best practices so that you can excel in your professional and personal endeavors. But before we dive in to our conversation with our guest, let's have a quick reminder from our partner organization. See you in a few minutes.
Scientists and policymakers around the world are well aware of humankind's current trajectory towards the devastation of its only and precious home, planet Earth. At unprecedented rates, living species are going extinct. Glaciers and ice caps are melting. Air pollution worsens. And we keep piling up plastics and trash in our oceans and rivers. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and discouraged by such a disheartening trend, a battle that greed, consumption, and unwavering ambition seems to be winning, leading all of us to an extinction-level event. Most efforts over the last 50 years to reverse climate change have failed. Governments at the national levels prioritize local politics and vote-winning initiatives. Companies are designed to exceed profit expectations in order to survive. International institutions are often bureaucratic and biased, and social media has often done more harm than good. The clock is ticking, and key universal indicators point to the need to substantially revert the trend in the next 7 years to avoid the point of no return. So how can we turn this ship around? We must wake up and come together in effective collaboration to jointly get out of the mess we've gotten ourselves into, for the many millions of lives at stake, for the benefit of us all. World System Solutions, WSS, is an NGO with a vision to unite, mobilize, and align humanity in common purpose to solve the climate crisis. WSS offers educational and climate change awareness workshops, guided by profound ethical and spiritual values, and a conviction that through consciously choosing to collaborate, we can reach our personal and collective potential, and synergistic cooperation to reverse the climate crisis and reach harmony amongst ourselves and with our planet. WSS intends to help humanity arrive at the collective agreements and aligned intentions necessary to attain global sustainability. We're building Phoenix, the first comprehensive technology platform to boost humanity's collective creative efforts to build a better world from the ashes of our past choices. Phoenix will radically accelerate global collaboration and innovation, It is designed and built with the guidance of ethics-based collective leadership, fully committed to serve all human beings equally and the planet as a whole. We're already developing Phoenix's first module, Climate Scale, aimed at mitigating greenhouse gas emissions by offering a one-stop shop for all carbon and methane credit projects through a platform that will reduce the risk of greenwashing and unify and supercharge the now fragmented efforts happening around the world. It will also facilitate access to the latest data and expertise, bringing together leaders, researchers, experts, projects, and resources to mitigate the greenhouse gases emissions challenge. We can change. We can do this together. Whether you're a youth activist, a committed politician, a generous philanthropist, a visionary transformational champion, an innovative project leader, or a sustainability expert, come and join the WSS team and be part of the solution the world needs today for our planet and for the future of all living species and our very own children.
As we work together towards combating the climate change in the next 7 years, every voice matters. Your contribution is a crucial part of our efforts. And by working together, collaborating together, we can create a better future for ourselves and for our children. There are many ways that we can support the work of World System Solutions. We can either donate or we can also collaborate. You will see there several links where you can click on or copy for later use so that you can learn more about World System Solution. Thank you. All right, so on to the show. I'm so happy to welcome to our show today Gerard Scheenstra from Netherlands. Hello, Gerald.
Hi, it's my morning and good afternoon there. So happy to be on the show.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for choosing to drop in on the show today. So for the benefit of our viewers, can you please share a brief background about yourself and the work that you do?
Yeah, please, happy to do so. So, okay, I'm from studies. I'm a science and business master, and since 1986, something like that, and started working in the financial industry, also working extensively in Asia and so on as a CIO. And then I'm a people's person, so I'm very much also with people, and I started in 1998 also being involved in sustainable employability and potential of people and all that stuff. So I'm since 98 I'm an entrepreneur, long-time entrepreneur in different lines of business. My main concern is also, as stated in the intro here, that it's time for change. I'm a big supporter of the SDGs, and I think the IDG framework sets the right mindset. So I'm also in consulting, advising. I'm a coach and a mentor. So I've created a couple of business models. I'm participating in business models, all with the focus on creating change in the mindset of people or helping people and meet them where they are. It all starts, to my personal opinion, with ourselves, so you and me, as a little business model, as I call it, and that's one of the subjects also what I'm very close to my heart. But I developed the personal holistic business driven model model where we can teach people and see how you move forward and are you ready for the future and what will your impact be. So that keeps me busy, always in community based. So I'm a big person that there is lots of me thinking in the world, but we need much more we thinking and especially doing. Because we can sit, but we need to act also.
Thank you for that, Gerard. Andrew Grove, Hungarian American businessman and also business mentor, the third CEO of Intel, once said that every day is a potential strategic inflection point, and only the paranoid can survive. So how do you help the people that you are coaching to have this strategic mindset? Make sure that they are leveraging on strategic inflection points every day.
Yeah. So maybe also good to make one of my little companies is called Strategic Inflection Point, inspired by the book of Andrew Grove in 1980. So it's quite funny actually. That's how on a day-to-day basis, like one of the things is creating insight. And so I'm a natural system thinker and looking at the world from an holistic point of view. Okay, you always see, okay, what is your impact? Because it is always somewhere. And so
Mm,
creating insight. And for me, like the basic for every human being is that you need to focus on your mental, physical, and spiritual balance. If that's not in balance, then you will not be able to do a lot of stuff for other people. It could be I'm defining the people who are aware of the Alexander Osterwalder business model canvas thinking, the 9 building blocks. Like you
mhm,
can apply the same model for a human being. Then it's called business model U. And what I did, I built on top of it purpose, holistic, personal, holistic, purpose-driven business model U. Meaning the mental, physically, and spiritual balance. And then you have and you and I are the biggest client of our own little business model. Then you have your social profile where people live. They can be your partner, your kids, your pets,
mhm,
friends, and nowadays we also see wireless there because a lot of stress causing that. And you have your work clients. So I basically one of the things I'm doing, I'm teaching people in this methodology. Also, it's a blended thing for design your life and all that stuff. So at the moment, I have a cohort running for 5 new trainers basically, and they're in Calgary and Sofia and
mhm,
all over the world. So the impact you have, first make sure that you're in balance, and then you can start to help also other people. Okay, my personal view on this is that the only way when you're allowed to be ecocentric is looking at your mental, physical, and spiritual balance. For the rest, is basically that you need to move forward to help other people. So that's where the we thinking and doing comes in.
mhm,
Because that's to me that's very important to understand also the impact, and you can create very easy insight by using simple models. And it doesn't matter where you meet the people. And it doesn't have to be a PhD student or someone. It can be anyone who's doing any kind of work. And then you
mhm.
also start to use that. I'm also a big fan. I brought it also with me of Lego.
All right.
Most people understand Lego also, I think. And what you do then, basically, if you start to talk about yourself, so this is me. And so am I physically, mentally, and spiritually in balance, or do I have some pain points? And it could be that. Like I've experienced, I shared one of my things there about reframing your perspective if you have an illness. Okay,
Mm-mm,
I call an illness should be your your best friend. Okay, then you have
mm-mm,
also you have your social profile, people living
mm-mm,
there, your partner, maybe you have kids, or you have a nice dog, or all that stuff, and you have the Lego piece of work, and so you can play around with them, and the people who are aware of the business model canvas thinking, what Alexander Osterwalder gave to the world, it's very structured, but it's also very social. Because one of the
mm-mm,
things, if you're looking from a perspective on the side of who can help you as a human being, that is basically making sure that your mental, physically, and spiritual balance is under control. Then you have your social profile and you have work. But also sometimes you need medication, or you need
mm-mm,
people who are religious, or most people are in certain respect, then God, whatever name you give it, is also part of your key business model. And
mm-mm,
talking with God is also something what's very important. But don't forget, if you talk with God, that if there's something there that, for instance, if you're not treated right in your work or somewhere else, that you
mm-mm,
need to talk what's going on. So the key point also is what you miss a lot is the art. There's also a good book about it, The Lost Art of Listening. So really
mm-mm,
listening what people say. So understand that. I advise, it's also part of the training I give, that understanding what other people say. Because
mm-mm,
the context, even for you and me and everybody in the world, they have their own context and they're all unique, but they all have
mm-mm,
potential also. And so, looking from that angle, you can make little steps or sometimes big steps forward. And what I create, say then, on an individual level or a team level or an organization level, you can make your fit for future plan to be
mm-mm,
ready. and be sure that you don't want to do it all at the same time. That's what's happening quite a bit with people. They got overwhelmed. And then they start running around like what I sometimes call a headless chicken. So they're not going anywhere. So it's very important that you say, okay, what do I need to do first? Okay, if you're most people or some people maybe are aware of the wheel of life. You can ask questions. What mark do you give your health between 1 and 0? Your mental health, your physical health, your love life, your financial situation, your housing situation, and all that stuff. And if you have pain points there, you need to say, okay, if you have people who are lack of money at this moment in time, then you need to focus on that, because that's the concept of scarcity that starts to sit in your head. Because if you have no money, it sits here somewhere in your brain, and maybe it keeps you awake at night, and something happens. So that's the point where you, as a mentor, coach, or trainer, is okay. Let's focus on that. And people who are knowing the concept of objective key results. So you say, okay, I have no money. What kind of OKR do I want to link to my organizing that I'm not without money, or could be anything. That can be for anything. It's all about you and your context. And for a team, it's the same, and for an organization, similar. But the key point there, if we want to change the world based, and I think the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations are great goals at the world scale, then we all need to have the mindset of people that we create balance, so that they are receptive, that they can be helping. And it shouldn't, some people talk about massive purposes, but any purpose is good. It's also a thing like, what is your inner purpose? And then how do you put your inner purpose to action can be also multiple. If people who are looking at my LinkedIn profile will see that I do a couple of things, because I'm involved with like-minded professionals in the exponential ecosystem, and I created the coach community. And for everybody who's listening in, reach out to me, because I like, we want to create a leverage model for like-minded professionals who want to change the world. And we have always very simple, open formulas. It's all rules of engagement and all that stuff is there. It's a matter of, do you want to work together? Do you want to change? Are you willing to do that? And that takes time, that takes dedication. You need to, it takes perseverance and resilience. And the same what people say, not everybody has to make a gold medal at the Olympics, but you can prepare yourself to take the right steps. The simple thing what I say to people who smoke, say, do you want to stop smoking? It's stopping. Only saying it, it's the intrinsic motivation to really start doing it. And it's a lot of behavioral science comes in there. One of my favorite subjects also, to say, how do you do it? And then it's basically an insight you can make then still an educated decision. And what happened lately, I've been following AI quite for a long time. And for people who understand, I'm a Star Trekkie, so I'm a long time around. I have 37 years of professional experience, and I've been waiting for this moment when you see that what they also sometimes call the point of singularity, where technology is kind of merging with humans. And so looking at AI can be very overwhelming or frightening even in some of the discussions there. But you need to embrace it, because that's basically part of your future. Think on what's going on. There is lots of information. Everybody in the world who has access via a device can now have access to all the knowledge of most knowledge in the world, and then you can start to play around with it. AI is basically a smart, as you're looking at the big language models now, are smart reasoning machines like our brain, but they're much faster and they don't forget things. And you can ask a question, and 4 seconds later you will have quite an answer. And of course, there needs to be still looking from a scientific point of view, the quality of the answers, but at a certain moment in time, and we are very close being there, that you have in your back pocket, you have someone as an assistant sitting there can helping you with guiding your life. It's the same reading the Bible or reading the Torah or the Quran and everything there. And I'm a big fan of Buddhism also. So these things will be blended in it. And it's always good if you can to have a guide to help you with your next steps. And depending on, first we need to meet you. Okay, dear human, where are you? Do you have any pain points? Then we can the metaphor of the Lego and the personal holistic business, purpose-driven holistic business with you. Because everybody, some people don't know that they have a purpose, but then we can create the insight. Yeah, I'm an educator, or I want to have that everybody starts dancing in the world. It doesn't matter what it is. There is always something what keeps you in positive sense awake, that you say, I cannot wait when it is the next day to start doing stuff there. That's a little bit a long answer, but I'm very passionate about all of this. So that's also how I came to this thing. So being part of a corporate job, then I started to be an entrepreneur for more than 25 years now. Engaging with people has been always my thing. And then you can, I've been in the middle that we say, you can measure things like personality and grit and all that stuff, what's important. But then you need to put it in context. And the context, I think what Alexander Osterwalder did with all the people, that the context of a business, the 9 building blocks, and of course also the impact things there, is quite a nice language. And then you can use it in teams and you can use it for yourself. And then for yourself, what I did then is to make it personal, holistic, purpose-driven business model. And then starting to use Lego, I can talk with yourself and say, hey, Jennifer, let's do a check-in. How are you mentally doing? How are you physically doing? How are you spiritually doing? Then I'm saying, okay, we listen to each other and I ask questions. Where do you want to be 12 months from now? If we had this meeting 12 months from now, where do you want to be with your life and your work? And then you can ask the question, but if there was nothing what could stop you, there was no money or anything is possible, what's then your dream? What would you be doing as of next month? There are all these questions there and all these dreams, and then you can make dreams possible in such a way that you put it in the right context, and you always do it together with other people. And that's the we thinking. That's the beautiful thing that we can do now, that while we speaking now, and we are connected via the modern technology, that we can do something. You're in the Philippines and I'm in the Netherlands, and we can discuss what we're discussing, or we can argue about what the weather is like, but it always is something what could make could have an impact also. Okay, the thing also there is that being only digital, there is also still the human. As humans, we are social animals, as they like to call it. So it's also very important that if you're doing stuff with yourself and teams, that you, what I always say, have your cappuccino or your moments of tea together in a room and to share ideas. It's already, we can start something tomorrow, you and I, and have an impact in the Philippines or anywhere else in the world. Because if we have the right story, people will start to like us, and then they want to be part of it, and that's how it is. So it's not complex to think about it, but the execution is the complex part, where people don't have the grit, don't have the resilience, and that's why some people make a gold medal, because they have the discipline and they have the talent, and all, but you also need a couple of other factors to be very successful what you do. And success is a concept like happiness. You don't have to be happy all the time. That's also an illusion. Basically put things in context, and life is a kind of a thing, and sometimes some people call it failing forward. And like, it's one of the sayings of the Dalai Lama is, you can choose to be happy. And so I made a choice also when I had something with physical misery with myself. So yeah, I want to beat that dragon. How do I deal with it? How do I reframe it so that it becomes my next best friend? So it's still there, but I want to challenge things. I have a curious mind, and then you start to challenge things. So it's again, so if I'm also working with students still with bachelors for science and business, that critical thinking, asking questions, and just listening, active listening, what we call that, that's extremely important. Like if the whole world starts to listen better and have a critical thinking mind, then we probably start to understand each other much better. But that's still it's certainly not an illusion, but it can be done. But it takes time, and it will be people, needing people like us and lots of others who just step up and start to do it. And I think the whole concept of AI in the broader sense of the world, what we've seen now, and all of a sudden people understand a little bit about ChatGPT and other stuff there, and everyday new things coming on. So we have now potentially 8 billion people who can be producers, can be creating stuff. And there will be people who solving great problems, but there will also be people who are, they have the evil, like the Empire. You have Luke Skywalker, or you have Darth Vader, and so on. So it's a thing there. I'm a big fan also of science fiction movies, but that's where you can experiment with the future. Of course, there are no limitations of gravitation or of laws of physics and so on. And what you see, that you can have a glimpse of the future, and certain things are moving very fast at this moment in time. And the bad thing is also with the discussion about do we need a pause or not for AI, you could look at it at different angles. At the end of the day, if you try to control something, there will always be somewhere in the world who is doing something what maybe is not. That's part of humanity. Why are there wars? Doesn't make any sense to me. I can understand it from an intellectual point of view, of course, but that's I think your question. Yeah, what do I do? Yeah, I sometimes it feels like I'm on a mission, so to help to promote rethinking and doing, and the things how I put that in action. That I have with others, we created a community where we can talk with organizations about if you do something, what's your impact, and how do you be accountable, and how do you do it? We have a whole methodology for it, what we call the wheel of innovation and incubation. It's very agnostic in approach. And then you have on an individual level, what I've been sharing already, that you have that personal, holistic, purpose-driven business model, and we have a community for that. I'm also lined up last year with the Institute of Inner Wellbeing, where we have the focus on inner well-being and mastery. So I'm blending certain things together, and I'm, as you can see in my profile on LinkedIn, I'm part of the Weaving Leg. I'm part of the SDGs. I'm also part of a groups called which call themselves exponential individuals. It's more, and lots of these things are all about people are worried, and how do we deal with these things? And then it's also their matter that how do you bring all these beautiful people together so that we really start to having an impact. And so my thinking is, if you're looking at certain frameworks in the world, I think the inner development goals are very important. So anybody who's listening in here, if you don't know them yet, go to Google or ChatGPT and ask what the inner development goals are. So there are 23 at the moment. And number 24 is coming up, what's called forgiveness. And for an important framework for the Sustainable Development Goals are the 17 SDGs of the United Nations. So you shouldn't argue, just add value, just make your pick. Where do you want to be? Do you want to work on no poverty, or do you want to work on zero hunger or whatever? There are lots of people to pick, and you're not alone. And that's okay. If you talk about people saying, I want to create the next unicorn, I don't think do you want to be Jeff Bezos? maybe he has a lot of money, but does he have the right impact? You can argue, you have strong arguments there to say that things could be done differently. And for all, if you're looking at the big tech companies at this moment in the time in the world, they monetize basically all our data and making money on it. So I'm also a big believer of implement the universal basic income concept, and we all need to be part of to run our own data. And basically what you see now, your twin self, that needs to be in your personal data locker. And I have also a project for everybody who's listening in. If you want to be part of a project where trying to take on what I call then in the early days healthcare for everyone, it's also and there are things happening there, but that also needs a lot of people who are having the same line of thoughts, and then you want to work together, and then in parallel you also create a sustainable financial model. Because I've spoken the last years quite a bit with people who are extremely purpose driven, but they don't make any money or very limited money, and that's what I call the purpose trap. And then if you combine that with also certain organizations which call themselves now DAOs, decentralized autonomous structures, they don't have quite a good decision power. So then you have the DAO trap, that there are no decisions made. So you need to be aware as a human that you can be busy whole day with doing very purposeful things, but then you can send an invoice as nobody is taking care of you. And that's also where we need to make the change. And I think if we implement a concept like universal basic income, we all have a basic income because there is enough money to make that possible. So there are some macro things, and then on an individual level, on a weekly basis, I just speak with people also who are stuck in their career. They're complex. They could be, okay, my partner is very sick and I need to take care of my partner. I can only work 24 hours in a day. Then people say, but it's very interesting. Also, I forgot to mention that looking at the concept of that holistic, purpose-driven business model, if you add the key thing, you have three clients there. You, yourself, make yourself that you're mentally, physically, and spiritually in balance. If that's not okay, then you need to do some work there. Then you have your social profile. Your social profile, that's where your partner sits, it could sit, or your kids, or friends, family, and pets, and also you could nowadays call your social media profile. And you have your work. And work is normally related to making somewhere an income. And so all the three also needs to be balanced. But what they do, they live in the construct of 24-hour. And we can what we call in coach world, we call that the gravity problem. Because you and I cannot change that we don't have 24 hours in a day or longer days. And that's the whole thing. And so what you know, and what we all know from a science point of view, that sleeping about 8 hours is a healthy thing. And you need to have what we call enough me time. And let's say you have 4-hour me time, and then you still have 12 hours left to do all kind of other stuff. Talking and with your partner, doing work and all that kind of stuff. And that's where you quite often see if you engage with someone and then you're looking at the concept, just ask the question, do you have enough time in the day? How many people do you know? How much time do you have in the day? Lots of people don't have enough time in the day because I need to take care. The example, I need to take care for my partner because she's ill. Then I work, and then most of the day is gone. And then what you see that they don't have enough me time. And me time is essential for everybody. That's where your inner balance will be created, because if you're not energized yourself and you just have to worry about my health or my whatever, then you don't have enough time to take care for other people. So that's also what the old saying always was, you need to be mentally, physically, and spiritually in balance before you can also add value for others. Everybody who's listening in also, if you check it out at yourself, when are you annoyed or stressed? Because probably you didn't sleep enough. And then if you're in that state of mind, you probably will not be the best company for your partner, your brother, your sister. Even if you have a pet and you start walking with your dog, do you take enough time for your dog to have him let them pee or just mill around. Like if you start to see that there is stress in your head, then you need to be aware that you need to do self-care. Go to the balance again and reflect. So key essential thing to and skill is reflecting on yourself. And you need to be brutally honest. Because it will, everything when you say, yeah, I need to play, yeah, I say the weather is very nice, but maybe the weather is not that nice because in my head, I don't have anything to eat, or I don't have proper housing, or my finance is shit, or I don't have a pension schedule. Now, name it. I've spoken with hundreds of people, and I applied, and that's how I came up with it also, that you can do a lot, but you need to be able to put it in a structure. So, and that's why I'm very excited about that structure. I started to create that in 2012, I think, about 2013, when Tim Clark wrote that book about business model US, together also with Alexander Osterwald and so on. And so I made a top up there, and yeah, and it's not about me, because it's more about I like to share things, and I like to do stuff, and so I'm doing lots of people who are in whatever kind of misery. Then you start to help them. And also, you also need to take care of yourself, that you still have a business model that you can, because the better you are, the more you can give. And I think that's important for everybody who's listening in. You can start very tiny, but don't monetize, don't sit on it on your own. Start asking questions, because if you think that you say, yeah, but this orange Lego piece is brilliant, at the same time in the world there are 100 or 1,000 other people thinking the same thing. So you need to find them. And that's where you have the concept of community and so on. And so that's where it is very important to be aware of these things. Start to read, or start to look at recordings, or start. And certainly for most people now, start to engage with ChatGPT, because the added value is that you have someone there. Before it was all these like Google and Bing and all that stuff, but now there is a new kit, a new personal digital assistant, which is there for you. That's for me. It's also that you look at the thing that, suppose everything what you've been doing in your life is also digitally. So then you could argue, is that your digital identity? And you could communicate with your digital identity if you want to. And that's the same. I listened yesterday to quite a beautiful recording also, that suppose you have the Quran or the Bible or anything completely in a kind of a ChatGPT environment. You could discuss then with the Bible, communicate with it. And you will have beautiful new insights which nobody ever had before. And that's the beauty of creativity, having a brain, and that you have an independent thinking, what we call also critical thinking. So my main thing is that your question, okay, what can I give to other people, is just create the insight in the content and the context where they are. And that's what I call meet people where they are, in such a way that they understand who they are. Sometimes it can be also in the begin phase a little bit frightening, because then they get insight and they say, oh, my situation, how complicated. Then if you are a mentor, coach, and a trainer, because also my belief is that if you're doing this work, what I'm doing also on an individual or team or company level or whatever, you always at a couple of functions or roles in one. You're a coach, you're a mentor, you're an insight creator, a trainer, and a facilitator. And because you want to meet people, and you can ask a question, where do you want to be? But then it's not only about, sometimes I can ask you the question if we had a formal session, and you say, I would like to take the simple example again of simple. I want to quit smoking. And I say, I will ask you, so have you thought about it, Jennifer? And have you any ideas to how do you want to approach that? Or do you want to ask a question, or do you want to advise? Okay, as a coach, you never give unwanted advice. The only thing what you do is creating insight. As a mentor, you can be hand-holding. And as an educator, you can say, hey, Jennifer, do you know that 8 hours of sleep is quite healthy? And I understand that you have not enough time in a day. And okay, where then starts to look, what are you doing in one day or in a week? And then the key thing is that to say, oh, kill some of your darlings. Because if you don't have enough sleep for a long time, you will have negative effect on yourself as a human being. You can be mentally, physically, spiritually. So it's all, yeah, that's where the holistic thinking comes in. All these things are correlated with each other, and you can look at a little thing. It's like the onion, and you start to peel the onion, and everything what you see is beautiful, and everything what you see, you can say put it in context. Okay, if you have an autoimmune thing, like I have, okay, then I can say, yeah, I feel sick or I feel miserable now. I see it as my next best friend, and I don't use medication anymore because I'm looking at it from a different angle. And that's how. So, and of course, you need also to be aware that miracles are difficult, but doing stuff and feeling stuff, and that understanding that we are, to my personal view, we are connected with the cosmos. So if you start to do stuff there, things also start to happen in the other angle. Yeah, that's about the beauty of giving and all that stuff. Okay, the key also, you have also a beautiful saying that what is the construct of a relation? Really, if you love someone, basically it's more or less that you want to be with someone, not that you want to get something out of it in the relation. Because then you're already, and that's a lot of people don't understand that. So they having partners and they never talk with each other about these things. And that's, you can say, okay, we, the two of us could have a business relation, say, okay, let's do something. And then there is something, oh, what is my value and what's your value? That's for everyone. And then you look at it. And then sometimes, yeah, if you have a business idea, like I'm mentioning at this moment, I think 10 new startups. But then if you have a business idea and you have only bookkeepers in your company, then probably your business will not be successful. So how do you have the right people? And that's about the right skills. So that's about everybody who's familiar with business canvas thinking and value propositions and client segments and how do you relate to each other. And I forget to mention that I'm talking with certain that people have a certain level of knowledge here, but if you don't, I'm happy to spend time with you or say, oh, start to read this or start to do that. That's also a problem that we have as humans, that you don't know. Now it's for me, I only can see you, but maybe there are a lot of people listening in. And then where is your audience? And what kind of knowledge do they have? Like lots of people, they can read a book, but reading a book will not say that you understand how to apply the business model methodology. Or if I read the book of exponential organizations in 2015 when I met Yuri van Geest, and I said, oh, it's an interesting book because that is also an interesting organization development concept. But it's always, you always need to put things in context, and the beauty of certain levels of models can bring clarity in the complexity of a business model or your life or a team, and that's where I think people who are doing stuff like myself can say, okay, let's look at your Lego piece, and your pain point is at this moment in time that keeps you awake, that you don't have enough money to eat, or you don't have a proper house or whatever. And then you can start looking at it, and then depending on the people, you can create the insights, but it is of course always the thing that you as a person need to do the work. And what saying is also no gain without pain. That's of course that's true. Okay, if you want to run a marathon, you need to practice. And that's the whole thing there is, and it's also a responsibility. And sometimes you have that you're having like what you cannot choose who your parents are. They're just there, and who your brothers and sisters are. But and then some people are very lucky, and others have less luck. It's already that if you are born in the Philippines, it's different from if you're born in the Netherlands. That's how even there lots of things start. But then you can start, where do you have influence? Okay, your parents is something you don't, that you cannot plan that as a human being. It's also lately I had quite an interesting. It's a daughter of a very good friend of mine. She's almost in the final of being a medical doctor, and she's doing now some stuff, and she maybe wants to be in the scene for female doctorship or something. But she's now at the department where all the births are taking place. And what you see, it's quite ridiculous stuff that people in Holland want to make a birth plan. So say, yeah, and she can, yeah, sometimes they write down 8 pages. And then the first 10 seconds, births you cannot plan. Things will happen. And so you can throw it in the waste bin. So there's a lot, you can see there are lots of things you can do to facilitate yourself to be, okay, I can drink, or I can smoke, or I cannot smoke, or cannot drink, or I can eat more vegetable food, or I can be responsible because I'm a human, a part of the 8 billion humans, and I know about the SDGs, so maybe I want to do something about that. Or you can say, yeah, I'm sitting in my own bubble and I don't mind, and I'm very ecocentric, and that's company shareholder value driven, all that stuff. Yeah, that's needs to change, and it will not change quickly, but that takes time, and it needs sessions like this, I think. and what you're also doing, Jennifer, is important, that we get these things going, and it doesn't matter where you are. And don't feel afraid. So when I say also, I have also a little thing for people who are interested. I'm doing that. It's what I call campfire sessions with 6 people preferred, and it's and then you dare to share. So you have 6 weeks in a row, and you can do them weekly or bi-weekly, and then you start doing something with 6 people. That's part of my Fit for Future formula program. So we have things like tell me your story. Some people are in need for job reflection. I don't know if people know that, but on average, 80% of the people don't like the job they do at this moment in time, based on science research. So then you can, and we have also a thing, that's a 2-hour session. Just there's a little tool that will keep the conversation going, what we call job reflection. And then where do we want to be? And from there on, okay, we have also 5 steps programs to work on your future and so on. And the thing there is, because in the Dutch market you have different cost of living than in the Philippines. I know I've been in the Philippines years ago, what we discussed, but now it can still. So you need also to make sure that if I'm going to do something in the Philippines, I need to have a different price model also, because otherwise nobody can afford it. And that's also, sometimes they call it the hamburger index. So McDonald's has hamburgers all over the world, that they have the same quality, but they have a different price. The beauty of it is that, like, if there are people who want to be a coach or a mentor, then I can train them to do so, and then they can make a living there, because we can help them, and because you're already easy to be part of a community. Okay, community is the way of the future, I think. And that's what you saw in the old days also, when people were in the farming, and it still is, then you could say, yeah, I buy only my own machines, or I'm going to do it together with a group of people, and then it's much easier to facilitate that. Yeah, so I can go on. So just put in.
Thank you so much, Gerard, for sharing all these things. I love it when the person that you are speaking with is very passionate about the work that they do. You can see it in their words. You can see it in their actions, and of course, there's just this inner radiant glow when they talk about the things that they love. And I can feel it in you that you are very passionate. This is something that keeps you awake at night. I feel in a really positive way. And so we talked about, you shared about the personal, holistic, purpose-driven model, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of individuals and organizations can benefit a lot from it, because again, on a personal note, in the times or during the times that I feel so stressed out, I feel cranky, you mentioned something important there. Maybe you need to take a breather or just step back, reflect. Sometimes what I do is, am I hydrated? I ask myself, did I drink water? And then
Hmm.
if it doesn't help, I also ask, am I hungry? And if I were hungry, then I eat. But if
Hmm.
that doesn't help, maybe I need to take a nap. And
Hmm.
sometimes a 30-minute or a 1 hour nap does work. So sometimes it's also about the physical. When your mental, right? When your mental state is not at the peak, maybe you can also, because there's what they call the mind body connection,
Yeah.
we need to also be aware of what's happening in our bodies. So thank you so much, Gerard. Very quick, we will have a short commercial break. We'll have a few words from our sponsors, but our viewers, please don't go just yet because we will continue our conversation, wonderful conversation with Gerard here, and we will have more interesting conversations with him. So stay tuned and see you after the break. The new channel is an online alternative new media platform of online shows for people on the go. We know you're busy, so we've made it easy for you to enjoy your own customized playlist of engaging, authentic, and original content. TNC is your passport to a world of Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. One of our most exciting shows is the Disruptors Hours, of course, airing every Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time, which covers everything from leadership and transformation to innovation and disruption, all curated with our viewers in mind. And the best part, you can watch our changing show anytime, anywhere, live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. Follow us on IG. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNCNow. We're always looking for new partnerships and sponsorships. So if you're interested in working with us, please email now@thenewchannel.com or send us a DM. Enjoy these life-changing shows because we made them just for you. So welcome back to the show. Earlier, we were conversing with Gerard Scheenstra. So Gerard is an experienced leader with a passion for aligning teams to meet personal and business goals and to create a more sustainable and productive way of living and working. He has a track record of successfully developing and deploying regional strategies that include people, processes, and alignment of all business lines in various countries. He has an entrepreneurial mindset and is interested in delivering science-backed insights and knowledge into practical applications for the future of work. Gerard's experience in organizational development and design includes creating new business models, which include the personal, holistic, purpose-driven business model he has shared earlier. He also talks about cultural transformation, talent, and people strategy, and he is an experienced coach for individuals and teams. Currently, Gerard is involved in multiple collective engagement and venturing projects and communities as a coach, mentor, trainer, consultant, and trusted partner in alignment with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, aiming to have a sustainable impact on the world. So from what I understand earlier, a personal purpose, a holistic purpose-driven business model is a transformative approach that helps individuals and groups design their lives in complete balance. So earlier, Gerard also mentioned about having inner purpose and inner vision that aligns with your business goals, making sure that these are aligned to your personal goals that is in a way sustainable, purpose-driven, and holistic. So let's welcome back Gerard to the show.
Yeah, hello again. So good to be
Hello,
here.
Gerard. Welcome back. All right. So we have mentioned a lot, everything also about AI, and I, for one, really believe that there should be a guardrail or safety net for AI because, as we know, 8 billion people and they are using AI, let's say. So that's making the AI more powerful and more intelligent. And it scares me to think of having a powerful and intelligent AI fall into the wrong hands. So, yeah, so our voice matters, especially those people who are purpose driven, those people who want to make a difference in the world. So we have to also have our input on how AI is being used.
Mm.
And also for the you mentioned briefly something about the universal basic income. I have a very good friend who's based in Germany, Thomas Potter. He also believes in universal basic income to have people be able to support at least a family of four, be able to have a decent basic income. And if we have, let's say, something that we want something more than the universal basic income, then we can work more, we can produce more, we can serve more. Because I also believe in what they say, when you serve more, you deserve more, right? So going back to the personal, holistic, purpose-driven model, can you think of an exact or a specific person, a specific organization who came to you and asked for your help, and then you walk this person or this organization through the different steps of the model or the framework, and what was transformation after.
Yeah, okay, that's correct. Yeah, so can take an example of an individual that makes it more simple, maybe. Okay, basically, okay, I'm working actually with more than one individuals at the same time. Okay, the key point is first about the context. So understanding, okay, that you are the biggest client of yourself, your social profile, and your work profile. Then what happens, for instance, with this person, and that's for most people to understand that a day has only 24 hours in a day, and that you understand, okay, yeah, if I don't sleep enough, then maybe I will not be that healthy in the long run. So the insight there, what, for instance, this actual live client is that after the first session already, I gave him the assignment. I said, okay, make what I call the 24-hour assignment. Check what you do on a daily basis. And then you could say weekends or weekdays can be different. And the thing, when I met him the next time, he said, oh, Gerard, now I understand that I don't have enough me time because I'm spending all my time taking care of my very sick partner, being working, and I hardly have any friends. So then you can be, we know also, but that was the thing. And now his mindset transformed, and oh yeah, I need to take care of myself. And it's a thing, what you see people working in healthcare, they have their personality level is that they want to care for other people. Okay, but the basic foundation is you need to have mental, physically, and spiritually balance to be able to take care in whatever role you are, even a CEO, or it doesn't matter. But sometimes you have a personality scale which is already a natural caretaker. Of taking care, because caretaker is the wrong word then. But then, and it's also, it's not about pleasing other people. That's the thing there. So it's also being very, okay, why am I doing this? And that's what I call then, some people are, if they're not enough, having not enough money, they start to do all kind of stuff and they don't work in structure anymore. So the insights will be, okay, a day has 24 hours a day. I need to have enough me time. Where are my pain points? Just it's also the insight is razor sharp focus. Okay, the key thing what I forgot to mention, basically, it's the key thing for every human being is what value are you able to give to yourself is making a choice and setting a priority. And that for all 8 billion of us is already difficult enough. That's basically where you create the main insight. Hey, what we discussed earlier, you can say, I feel I'm sick, or you say, I want to get better. And what is a priority? What are the priorities in my life? If you want to stop smoking, make that then your highest priority. If you don't have enough money, make that your highest priority. How are you going to do it? And sometimes, that's what you see a lot if I'm looking at students, they can be any age, students. There can be also someone of 60 or 70. But now I don't understand what I'm doing now. But that's the pain. Without pain, no gain. Because sometimes you need to learn something or practice something to have 4 years from now the positive effect. And that's what they called in the old days with the test. Lots of people maybe know about the marshmallow test. And with kids, they did it. Do they eat it or do they leave it, basically? Because that's the whole thing. How do you look at certain things? And that's the problem what we have with internet at this moment in time, where we are all brainwashed, and it's instant gratification. So it's the dangerous thing about where we're having now, that the dopamine, what is all these big tech companies now, they're jamming us with all this dopamine because they all know, they all read the book of Robert Cialdini about how to influence people, and that's where it's going wrong. So long answer, yes, but even in I'm now working on a country level change also for the same thing, where you say, there is something what's there, you could call a marketplace, but then how do you shift the mindset from people who being very, what I call classical in thinking, using word processors and all that stuff, by shifting that, okay, if I can do everything digital, I don't need paper anymore. I don't have to have a live meeting. Everything can be done digitally. So that's also, everybody has access to the same information. But then if people are very classical in thinking, so it's more or less what I'm saying there. Also, I had actually very recently had a session with lots of people in the market saying this is basically what's going on. If you have a new system what can do something, it is also holistically, it's part of other Lego pieces in your actual company. And how do they work together? So how do they work? So what is the yellow one? And then if the thing there, if you implement something on a team or an organization level, quite often it has an impact on, you can do your work with less people, you can do the same work, and it's all the tools. And like we have seen, most people who've been in the field of bookkeeping, when the first bookkeeping systems got implemented, the old bookkeepers said, oh, but I don't trust the system. And a certain amount of time, it's all about trust. So that's basically what I see. That's also the beauty, that if you start understanding that you as a human being are also little business models, and they are driven by purpose, and that you're yourself the biggest client, so that you need to manage yourself, then you have your social profile, and then you have your work profile. And then every client I have is the insights are beautiful transformation process. It could be also one thing, and that person say, yeah, I don't like my job. With our 80% of the people worldwide don't like the work they do. But then, what is your context? And do you say, yeah, I want to be president of the Philippines or something? Then that will be, is that realistic also what you want to achieve? What kind of competences and skills do you want to have, or do you need for that? So that's also a thing, that the reflection on yourself and where you are, based on what you have, what I call in your backpack. So what kind of experience, what kind of training and all that stuff do I have? And that will also be making you as a person, okay, now I want to call Jennifer because she can help me with learning that new dance or anything else in the world, basically. And that's basically how you can start to help also each other. And that's basically what I do and others are doing. Say, okay, I meet you where you are. We look at where your pain points are and where your potential gain is. Then you want to know, where do you want to be 12 months from now in your life and work? But it could also be 1 month from now. And it doesn't matter what time frame you actually use. And then you will see the transformation will happen. And and there are also sometimes people who, sometimes you call them uncoachable, like people in organizations who do not want to change. They think that the world doesn't change, that their business will always run. That's basically, you need to step back. And that's what you need to step back another step and say, okay, look at the big picture. If you're now sitting in the helicopter, and that's taking people there, and to understand that they maybe not that they need to start moving or need to do something. And there's always then the problem is that people feel then afraid or overwhelmed. And then that's where you are in your role as a mentor, coach, trainer. Let me take your hand and let me help you by taking these little steps. And it's all about baby steps. So some people can go very fast, but most people need to get used to the new reality and taking little baby steps forward. And that's what I see with all my people. If I manage them, guide them individually, or quite recently, I've also a program that's called Walking and Coaching. That's one afternoon for 4 hours outside in a different environment, and then you apply the same things. And then you could put then things, and most people say, oh, 4 hours? Yeah, but the 4 hours are over before you know, if you really engage. And I had it quite well. So it was actually a couple of weeks ago. Then I had a lady who was working in healthcare. And then we got, the whole thing was getting things clear. Of course, there is more work to do then after one session. But then I got a phone call from her husband in this case, say, oh, I listened. And I said, I can't tell anything about what I did, of course. But he said, yeah, I want to become a coach. I thought it's a big compliment if you have someone who's very close, because as we all know, a golden rule, don't start to mentor and coach your kids. And if you have what we discussed earlier, a relation is about equality. So you don't want to coach and mentor your partner or something like that. But some people, they all sometimes think, yeah, but I can change that person. No, you need to meet the person. Yeah, you need to be with a person because you like to be with that person without anything else, no strings attached. But if you're a professional coach or mentor trainer, then people ask you the question, can you help me? But you also see a lot that people they think that they have a problem in a certain area, but if you step back and the holistic approach then puts it in a bigger context, then yeah, sometimes they say, yeah, I don't like my work, but then the problem is more that they don't like the manager, and the work is still great. And then so that's a different context again, and so that's why I'm saying context, and yeah, they're taking very simple steps, creating then. I call myself quite often an insight creator, or sometimes I'm a talking mirror. If we do this, I'm listening to you and I'm reflecting and I'm asking questions, and it's also a difficult thing, even being aware that you are not wanting to have an opinion as a coach or a mentor. Sometimes you're so passionate that you want to, you want to do something, but that's something what you say. Oh no. I use that in the training quite a bit for saying, yeah, like suppose I'm eating 2 kilos of carrots every day, and because I can have a brilliant eyesight, so that will not say that that is a solution for everybody else in the world. So you need to be very careful that you don't say, yeah, I've done this, it worked for me, so you should do it too. There's no shooting. So it's basically putting everything in context, showing stuff, and some people are going very fast, and others they will be having baby steps because it is new and they never had shared their inner stories. Okay, you have people who have been uh, anything you can think of what is not good, I have seen. And it's also important as a coach that you say, where are your personal skills? And so if you're moving to certain areas where you say, yeah, that's for someone who's then a therapist who needs to take over. Yeah, so it's a you have an extremely responsible work to do, and it's something okay for me as a professional in the field. So it's for me it's not necessary that everybody needs to have done a psychology study or something. That's more or less being interested in people, and then you learn skills about listening, and then and having no opinion. And so there are, yeah, the examples are that you are there having an impact in the transformation story of a person or a team or an organization. And that's a very sensitive thing because the bigger the group gets, the more group dynamics you have also. And then you need to know why is someone behaving like this? Okay, we have also programs, for instance, in healthcare, where how do you work as a team together? But then we always say we step back, say, okay, who are you as your personal business model, you, and then from there and say, oh, and now you're part of this team, and that's the orange bit. And what kind of value do you add for the team, or is it or are you working only? And that's also an important question. Why do you work? Is it basically because you make money and then you can buy food and housing, or do you work because it is also aligned with your personal passion? And there are a lot of people who are working to make money, and they are disc jockey in the evening to have fun.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Gerard. I'm enjoying this conversation. However, we have another program that will be live streaming right after this show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your background. I'm pretty sure that our viewers learned a lot as much as I did. Thank you so much for joining us today in today's show. And thank you for choosing to be a part of the community of change makers and key opinion leaders. I'm sure that our viewers have been inspired and empowered to lead with purpose, drive change with impact, embrace transformation with agility, innovate with creativity, and of course, disrupt with boldness. How can our viewers stay in touch with you, follow you on social media, and learn more about your future work?
Yeah, so the easiest way is to reach out to me on LinkedIn if people are aware of that. And of course, we have also my LinkedIn profile, and we have also a website for individual coaching, or if you want to become a coach or have a program, it's fitforfutureformula.com. And for organizations, we have Exponential, that's exponentialecosystem.com. But yeah, you can start easily to reach out to me via LinkedIn. And what I said already, so don't be afraid that if you see certain things with a price tag on them, that we're doing stuff on a hamburger index basis. So we're doing things that, and if people want to change, then say, yeah, I've only this, or I can have something else. Then we always find a way to run a program with you. And everybody who wants to be part of learn to become a coach, or yeah, I'm stuck in my career or my business, and how do I move from A to B? I need mentorship for my startup. That's it's also that I'm doing some things. Lots of things are all done what I call the we group. We're doing mentoring for startups and team. We always do with more people, and some people are then already aligned with the subject, and others not. But yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn is the easiest way. But then, and from there, you can see also where you can reach to me in different areas if you want to. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot to talk. I don't know who all listened in, but I hope you have been able to that I've been able to inspire you a little bit. And I'm very keen to follow up for people who thought, yeah, I want to learn more. Tell me about this. Yeah, more than welcome. And I work also. Maybe it's also good to mention. I divide my days in 3 shifts: mornings, evenings, and afternoons. So I will be available for everybody in the world, basically, and also the people I'm working with. So we have people in Asia, even also in Australia, and anywhere else. And so I'm now at this moment in time living and working via the Netherlands.
Thank you so much, Gerard. So inspiring and so empowering. Wonderful. So, dear viewers, thank you for choosing to spend your Thursday morning with us. And we hope to see you again next Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending where you are in the world. God bless everyone.